Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held campaign events for a second day in Tamil Nadu. He urged voters in Vellore and Coimbatore constituencies to support his party's candidates in the national elections that kick off this month. Annamalai, the face of the BJP in Tamil Nadu, is the candidate in Coimbatore. As expected, he attacked the state's governing DMK party. Political observers believe the BJP might have the potential to win these seats than elsewhere in the southern state. Modi's eighth visit to Tamil Nadu this year is a clear sign of the party's aggressive push to present itself as an alternative to the traditional heavyweights, the DMK and the AIADMK. The Prime Minister held his signature roadshow in Chennai on Tuesday. 5 people were killed in Tamil Nadu when a car crashed on a highway and went into a dramatic roll. Police released footage from security cameras on the highway near the southern city of Madurai. Reports said 4 of the dead belonged to the same family. In the footage, a white vehicle, described as an SUV, is seen racing down the extreme left lane. First it hits a two-wheeler, before it somersaults across the 4-lane highway and lands on the opposite side. The footage also captured stunned passers-by at the scene of the accident. An investigation is on to find out what caused the car to crash. Jailed Delhi Chief Minister will remain in prison at least until next Monday after the Supreme Court refused to consider an urgent hearing over his arrest. Arvind Kejriwal challenged his arrest in the highest court a day after the High Court in Delhi did not back his argument that his arrest was illegal. The arrest was the climax of investigations into alleged bribing by liquor companies for contracts to supply liquor in Delhi. The charge has been strongly denied by Kejriwal and other high-profile politicians arrested in the case. The arrest of Kejriwal triggered criticism from his political allies, and his Aam Aadmi Party staged protests, which had little impact on the political scene. His former deputy Manish Sisodia and prominent politician from the south, Kavita, have been imprisoned in the case. Technicians at AI Engineering Services, a state-run aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul company, have voted to go on strike this month. The All India Aircraft Maintenance Engineering Union sent a letter to the Chief Executive Officer this week detailing these issues. The walkout would worsen the already turbulent situation in India's aviation sector. Reports said Air India is among the biggest clients of the maintenance company. Vistara Airlines, which is partially owned by Tata Group, saw hundreds of flights cancelled last week as a result of pilots protesting a new contract ahead of its merger with Air India. The airline cut up to 30 daily flights after pilots did not turn up for work, but the pilots denied that the mass leave was part of a coordinated plan. An investigation by Canada has found that India did not attempt to meddle in the country's politics or influence its elections. According to the investigation, a group of top Canadian officials monitoring the 2021 elections were not aware of any attempt by India to sway national polls. The announcement comes after the Canada Security Intelligence Service said that attempts were made to rig the 2019 and 2021 Canadian elections by Pakistan and India. The Liberal Party of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau prevailed in both the elections, but the Canadian Intelligence Service concluded that China had interfered in the previous 2 Canadian elections. Trudeau established a commission on foreign intervention in response to pressure from opposition lawmakers who were offended by media revelations about China's potential involvement. The Supreme Court has rejected apologies issued by the founders of Patanjali Herbal Medicine Company over its misleading advertisements. The court pointed out that founders of the company, Baba Ramdev and Balakrishan, released their apology to the media first. The court also criticized the licensing authorities for not acting against the company for so long. The advertisements reportedly offered cures for diseases, which appeared to be far from the truth. The Indian Medical Association started the case against the herbal medicine maker over its propaganda against allopathy medicine. Baba Ramdev, who is a famous yoga sage, is also accused of running a smear campaign against the COVID-19 vaccination drive during the pandemic. Patanjali Ayurved is a multinational conglomerate which became one of India's fastest-growing companies and revenue earners. Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong has suggested that the country could recognize Palestinian statehood to foster peace, but without Hamas in its governance. This stance has been criticized as premature by Australia's opposition and the Zionist Federation of Australia. Wong's comments mirror those of UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron, who earlier hinted at the UK recognizing Palestinian statehood without Israel's support. The Australian government has voiced concerns about the war against Hamas in Gaza. Wong advocates for a 2-state solution where Israelis and Palestinians coexist in separate countries as the only way to end the cycle of violence. The UN is considering granting Palestine full membership. According to Hamas, the ongoing war in Gaza has resulted in over 33,000 Palestinian deaths. US President Joe Biden has criticized Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the situation in Gaza, calling it a mistake. He emphasized that Gaza should have unrestricted access to food and medicine for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Israel has refuted claims of blocking aid distribution in Gaza. In an interview, Biden called for a ceasefire and total access to food and medicines in the country. Under domestic pressure, Biden has been increasingly critical of Israel's conduct in the ongoing war, but at the same time, US military supplies have continued to flow into Israel. Earlier, the president said Hamas needs to free the Israeli hostages. At least 100 of them are still being held in Gaza. South Koreans are voting in a parliamentary election seen as a referendum on President Yoon Suk-yeol's administration. The election is likely to be influenced by voters' economic concerns. His People Power Party has struggled to implement its agenda due to opposition from the Democratic Party and faces criticism for his handling of rising food prices, an aging population, and a doctor's strike. The president's perceived disconnect with voters' inflation concerns has also been criticized. If the PPP fails to secure strong representation, Yoon's tenure may be remembered for his foreign policy successes rather than domestic achievements. Both major parties face voter discontent, potentially benefiting smaller parties. Despite this, the main competition remains between the PPP and DPK, neither of which have offered strong solutions to the cost of living crisis. Voters express concerns about high living costs and combative politics. US tech giant Apple has shifted a significant portion of its iPhone production to India, assembling $14 billion worth of devices in fiscal 2024, which accounts for about 14% of its total output. The majority of these India-made iPhones are assembled by Foxconn and Pegatron Corp., with the remainder produced by the Wistron Corp in Karnataka, which is now owned by the Tata Group. The move is part of Apple's strategy to diversify its supply chain beyond China due to geopolitical tensions between Beijing and Washington. Despite this, China remains the world's largest iPhone production hub. Pegatron is reportedly in talks to transfer control of its Chennai-based iPhone manufacturing facility to the Tata Group, which is also constructing another plant in the state's Hosur town. One of China's biggest gaming companies says the popular World of Warcraft video game will return to China this summer. Activision Blizzard, a gaming company, and NetEase broke off their 14-year collaboration last year in a dispute over intellectual property rights, but the tension eased after Microsoft made the largest ever acquisition in the game industry by purchasing Activision Blizzard for $69 billion in October of last year. After Tencent, NetEase is the second biggest video game company in the nation in terms of revenue, with its domestic revenue climbing to $42 billion at the end of last year. China is the largest online gaming market in the world. Microsoft and NetEase also announced that they have decided to study the possibility of adding more NetEase games to Microsoft's other gaming platforms and Xbox gaming consoles. A fire broke out in a residential building in Hong Kong, resulting in 5 deaths and 35 injuries. The fire, which started at a gym in the 16-story building, led to significant disruption, including the closure of surrounding roads during rush hour. Approximately 150 people were evacuated, with 40 sent to public hospitals for treatment. Hong Kong authorities have called for an all-out effort to treat the injured and investigate the cause of the fire. The blaze was brought under control within an hour, but 6 of the injured remain in serious condition, with 1 in a critical state. On the same day, firefighters were also battling a separate fire at a building site in the northern New Territories, although no casualties have been reported from this incident. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.